Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. All across our nation, the men and women of our armed forces are being recognized today. Our Maggie Hall was at an event in Elmira that honored the distinguished veterans of our nation.
Today here at Woodlawn National Cemetery in Elmira, I had the honor and the privilege to join with veterans and members of the community to honor those who have served our country. Here, all who have served our country were honored. Those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, those who are still with us, and those of days past. Not even the pouring rain could keep the community from honoring our veterans. It began with the presenting of the colors and went into commemoration speeches by eminent veterans from Elmira.
Their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good.
This included Elmira Mayor Daniel Mandel, an Air Force veteran. Community members of all ages were present at the ceremonies. All area schools in the Southern Tier had the day off to observe the holiday. This gave families the opportunity to honor veterans together. At the finish of the ceremony, a gun salute was made. Taps, the solemn 24-note bugle call, was played. And the colors were retired. To all veterans, thank you for your service. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Elmira.
This weekend, area businesses are showing up for veterans. Along with free admission, vets can take part in a free Intro to Glassmaking class at the Corning Museum of Glass. For registration, you can call the museum. The Rockwell Museum will also have free admission for vets. And the following restaurants on your screen are offering free meals and military discounts. President Biden is in Egypt today attending a climate conference. Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
Keep these fossil fuels in the ground.
Protesters greeted world leaders at the United Nations Climate Conference in Egypt Friday.
My message to President Biden, will you show us the money?
President Biden is highlighting the steps the U.S. has taken to fight global warming, including requiring major suppliers to set Paris Agreement emission reduction goals and releasing a plan to reduce methane emissions.
I can stand here as President of the United States of America and say with confidence, the United States of America will meet our emissions targets by 2030.
The trip follows a better-than-expected performance by Democrats in the midterms.
He goes out on this trip feeling like the results from Tuesday show that the American people, are sending him out onto the world stage in a very strong position.
But a post-midterm Fox analysis shows that only 9% of voters think climate change is the most important issue facing the country.
The energy policies that the president's out over in Egypt touting and everywhere else around the world really penalizes American workers, American jobs, and our ability to be self-sufficient.
After Egypt, the president heads to Cambodia, where he'll meet with leaders of Southeast Asian nations, then on to Indonesia and the G20 Economic Summit. While in Indonesia, Mr. Biden is scheduled to meet with Chinese President Xi for their first in-person meeting. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
The CDC is warning consumers about a dangerous and deadly bacterial outbreak in some deli meats. The CDC says a listeria outbreak in 6 states, including New York, has been linked to deli meats and cheese. The CDC says a total of 16 people got sick, 1 person has died, and 13 others were taken to hospitals. 7 of the 16 cases were in New York. 5 of those 7 say they bought deli meat and cheese from at least one location of the grocery store chain Net Cost Market. Some new hope for inflation-plagued items at the grocery stores. The prices for some of them are coming down. Market research firm Nielsen IQ recently looked at packaged and fresh foods to find where prices are lowering. According to the latest data, the average unit price for mixed vegetables from late summer fell 68% compared to the same time a year ago. Prices for some fruits like tangerines and dates have also eased, and prices for packaged baked goods like assorted bagels dropped nearly 50%. The first step to getting the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree to New York City happened on Thursday in Warren County. Harrison Grubb was there.
It's been an exciting morning here in Queensbury as people have gathered around for an opportunity to see this year's Rockefeller Christmas tree before it heads down to New York City. A part of the capital region set to be one of the brightest stars in New York City, as dozens of spectators came out to wish it farewell.
I'm just here because it's just fun. It's just a wonderful experience to be with people to celebrate goodness.
Some creating lasting memories.
My granddaughter, who's 4, I've taken here to take pictures of her next to it, and then when it gets lit, I'm going to do a frame of the tree coming down and her, and then it lit. She'll remember it for life. It's a lifetime story.
The 82-foot-tall Norway spruce was donated by the Leibowitz family from Glens Falls. Neil Leibowitz says he got the unexpected phone call from Rockefeller Center earlier this year.
Said, we're interested in looking at your tree for the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree this year. And, the first thing that went through my mind was, yeah, sure. I'm in total disbelief.
A day after that call, a crew from New York City came up to take a look.
It's going to make a great Christmas tree.
Kickstarting the process to get to this point.
We're feeding it and watering it through the summer. And then about a week and a half ago, we came up, we started tying the tree, and we wrap each branch individually and tie it up. We have to get it down from 50 feet down to 14 feet so we can travel on the thruway.
Neil Leibowitz says it's an exciting moment and is blown away by the amount of people who came out to get an early taste of the holidays.
You realize how much people really like it, they talk about it, and that in itself is exciting.
The tree is set to be lit up for the holiday season in Rockefeller Center on November 30th, as people from all around the world will get the chance to see a tree from right here in our backyard. Reporting in Queensbury, Harrison Grubb, News 10, ABC.
Rain was coming down heavy today in the southern tier. The rain swept over the area coming from Tropical Storm Nicole. It rained continuously all day without any breaks in the downpour. And while the area is getting remnants of Hurricane Nicole, weather-weary Florida is cleaning up after the storm left more devastation along the state's coastline. Phil Keating has more.
I thought this whole friggin' building was going to come down.
Florida residents still in disbelief over Nicole's devastating impact along the coast. The storm made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane early Thursday near Vero Beach. Winds died down quickly, but Nicole's massive storm surge did not. The surge causing widespread flooding and toppling several homes and businesses, some collapsing into the Atlantic.
It's starting to go down now, but that's my backyard.
The hardest hit areas were Wilbur by the Sea and Daytona Beach shores, where the surge caused several beachfront properties to be declared structurally unsafe. More than a dozen homes and businesses have also been ordered to evacuate.
We're in trouble because we've lost buildings, we've lost homes, we're losing condominium buildings, commercial buildings, and we're really in a pickle now.
It's just devastating for the people that put their whole lives into this.
State and local leaders are now out assessing the damage. Cleanup has begun in some areas. However, many worry rebuilding will take years.
It was a trifecta of Ian and then a king tide and then Nicole. And the tide never relaxed, and so it just compromised every seawall, every dune, and we are just devastated.
Nicole has now weakened into a tropical depression as it marches north through Georgia and the Carolinas. However, flash flooding is a big concern as we go into the weekend. In Wilbur by the Sea, Florida, Phil Keating, Fox News.
Stay with us. Your complete weekend forecast is next.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Overnight, Nicole made quick movements into the Appalachians as it came a post-tropical system, and it's sending some of that tropical moisture into New York. Now, that first round of that banding feature did give anywhere from about ½ an inch to an inch of rainfall, and totals are expected to still be upwards of 2 to even 3 inches possible, with flooding concerns with it. So if you do have to venture out this evening into Saturday morning, make sure that you are keeping yourself wary, especially with it getting darker earlier. You want those headlights on. If you come across water water where you cannot see the roadways turn around because you don't know how much of the roadway has potentially maybe washed away, or potentially have seen that there are objects in the way as well that could cause for you to stall out in the water, as well as just cars aren't meant to drive through potentially inches to a foot of water, potentially rushing water at that as well. Now we'll keep some of that thunder and showery weather through the overnight here as we see that conditions are going to be cooling. We're seeing that this first push of this tropical air has still kept temperatures pretty mild, but you'll note that our warmest temperature of the day on Saturday is going to occur at midnight with 65 degrees, and then we watch those temperatures continue to fall as the showers will last through at least the early morning hours. We'll settle with temperatures just around those 50s though still for a Saturday. Maybe a slight warm up with some dry weather, but we're going to push another round of some showers into our Saturday afternoon. So here's our next round of that wave moving through into the overnight. So note that there might be some overnight thundery weather, again flooding concerns still as well, but that quickly moves out, which is going to allow for us to see maybe some areas of sunshine early on Saturday. But there is an upper level wave that is going to allow for just a few light rain showers to move in though with a cold front that is going to be moving across the Great Lakes, and you start to see some of that blue pop up there on the forecast. Now much of it's not going to accumulate much into the Finger Lakes region, but what will set up is you can see some of those streams working off of Lake Erie there as well as Ontario, so some lake effect snow to rainfall will be in place, to really dependent on those temperatures. So as we look at even just the potential of some snow accumulation, you can see a little bit of a change up in the contour. So even going to mention maybe some wet slushy snowflakes working in with that system late Saturday into Sunday morning, but again not much to accumulate, just one due to already wet surfaces melting that snowfall on contact, and then two, we've just been under a warm weather period. But we do start to see reflections of those temperatures. As we mentioned, we were hovering into the 50s through much of the day on Tuesday, so we're still hanging on to some of that warmth. But by Sunday morning, we fall near the 30s. We do stay above the freezing mark, Elmira and Corning, so that's going to help to keep some of those snow showers out. But note that as we head into our Sunday, we really have minimal warming. We do see locations return back into those lower 40s, but that is still now below average, as we have been above average this last few weeks. Now we'll note that as we continue into next week, we will keep temperatures within those 40s, which is below average. Some sunshine Monday and Tuesday, but it looks like we could have an active weather pattern into the latter half of the week.
If you're looking for a way to make an impact in the lives of service members, listen up. Ashley Strohmeyer has some insights.
Many will take a moment Friday to recognize and celebrate the men and women who have served and fought for our country. But this day shouldn't just be a day to pay tribute. Experts say they hope it will be a day of action.
I encourage people on Veterans Day not just to think, but maybe to think about doing. There are ways we can seek training to become better able to support the mental health of the people around us.
Experts say each year, more than 200,000 people transition from active duty to civilian life and become veterans. And while that's a period marked by a sense of pride for many, for some, it can become a time of psychosocial strain that leads to PTSD.
Difficulties finding job or pursuing additional education, or difficulties with housing. And those psychosocial stressors might also, for some, activate PTSD symptoms.
PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is a mental health condition that can develop after an exposure to a life-threatening or traumatic event. According to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, vets and active duty service members are dying by suicide at alarming rates, women dying at twice the rate of the adult population in the U.S. To help combat this, loved ones play a big role.
Family and friends can be a great catalyst to get veterans connected to professional services when needed.
Veteran Day parades are being held throughout the U.S., from our nation's capital to sunny California. Experts say those looking to volunteer can contact their local VA. In New York, Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Eating out this Thanksgiving could save you some money, plus a new treat for pickle lovers, and Wendy's has a new item for the holidays. CJ Papa has those stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
The Consumer Price Index rising slightly less than expected in October, but while some prices are cooling off, it will still cost more for your Thanksgiving meal. In fact, dining out may be the cheaper option this year for the holiday. According to a Wells Fargo report, grocery prices are up more than 12% from a year ago, while the cost of dining out increased only 8.6%. The Federal Trade Commission sending a warning to Twitter, signaling they could soon crack down on the platform over privacy concerns, following rapid changes made by new CEO Elon Musk. This after Twitter was fined $150 million by the FTC back in May. The social media platform was put under a 20-year consent decree that requires mandatory audits and probes. Since Musk took over Twitter, there have been mass layoffs and the departure of top privacy executives. November 14th is National Pickle Day, and Vlasic is out with a new product to celebrate. The pickle company teaming up with fragrance company Candir by Ryan Porter, modeling the candle after a real jar of pickles, and the scent is said to be spot on as well. Vlasic saying the fun and fresh limited edition candle will be available for purchase on shopryanporter.com for $29 starting November 14th. And Wendy's is getting in the holiday spirit with a new Frosty flavor. The fast food chain will be selling the Peppermint Frosty starting November 15th. The new peppermint flavor will replace strawberry on the menu for a limited time only. That's business. I'm CJ Papa, Fox News.
Cryptocurrency exchange FTX files for bankruptcy, and CEO Sam Bankman-Fried announces his resignation. Nearly 130 additional companies affiliated with FTX are part of those bankruptcy proceedings, including Alameda Research. This comes after a rough week for FTX, after customers demanded withdrawals, and the rival exchange company Binance terminated their non-binding agreement to purchase the company. Still ahead, General Motors is recalling hundreds of thousands of SUVs, plus some good news for those looking to buy a new car. Those stories and more coming up. Holiday feelings of happiness can give way quickly for homeowners if several things happen. More than a third of 1,000 adults surveyed by home security company SimpliSafe say they fear a holiday mishap. About 40% say they've experienced electrical fires or burned food or kitchen fires. About 45% say they've had packages stolen from their front porch, and frozen pipes are another feared holiday mishap. SimpliSafe says data shows people begin worrying about those potential disasters in advance of the holidays. General Motors is recalling hundreds of thousands of big SUVs over light issues. GM says nearly 340,000 big sport utility vehicles are being recalled because of a switch-off issue with daytime running lights. The automaker says the daytime running lights might not go off when regular headlights are on. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says that failure to go off could cause glare for oncoming drivers and raises the risk of a crash. 2021 Chevy Suburbans and Tahoes, some GMC Yukons, and Cadillac Escalades are all part of that recall. Owners will be notified next month. New car prices begin to fall, but only slightly. Edmunds.com, the online car inventory and review company, says new car prices are now a little closer to the manufacturer's suggested retail prices. Edmunds says new car prices averaged $700 over the suggested retail price for the first half of the year, but are now down to about $230 over. Supply chain problems and limited computer chips have contributed to the higher car prices. According to Cox Automotive, vehicle inventories are at their highest since last June. Netflix aims to capture viewers' hearts with a new animated fantasy adventure about a boy and his dragon friend. Ashley Dvorkin has the story.
Real, live
dragon? The classic children's novel My Father's Dragon comes to life in the new Netflix film adaptation. It centers on Elmer, a young boy struggling with his new life in the city, who decides to take a journey to Wild Island, where he finds a friendship of a lifetime with a dragon named Boris.
They complement each other so well because they're so different from each other, but so similar in the same way.
What do I do now, Elmer?
They're both terrified in the situation. Elmer is just able to kind of hide it a little better. The thing about Boris's emotions, though, is that he uses him as strength by the end of the movie. And Elmer learns to use his bravery to help bring up others.
Are you for real?
Jacob Tremblay stars as the voice of Elmer, and Boris is voiced by Stranger Things star Gaten Matarazzo.
To have Gaten there talking to you and, being able to, bounce off his emotions, it really helps, especially because this was my first big animation. So it's like a big learning curve for me at the start, to go to live action to sitting in a room with the mic.
The 2D animated adventure is a labor of love for Oscar-nominated director Nora Twomey and her studio, Cartoon Saloon.
I'm really just excited for everyone to finally see the work that we've been doing over the last number of years. I think it took us 4 years from finishing the screenplay to the final mix. So yeah, it's great to finally have it out there.
I'll look after you. My Father's Dragon is streaming now on Netflix. Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Stay with us. We'll have more after the break. We want to leave you with a smile. If you believe in kissing a lot of toads to meet a handsome prince, well, you might want to skip on this one. The National Park Service is warning people not to lick the Sonoran Desert toad. Now, it's not clear if a recent incident prompted the warning, but the Park Service says the Sonoran Desert toads have glands that secrete a potent toxin. A report says the toads are in high demand this year because that toxin has been exploited as a psychedelic. The toads are captured to get the toxin, which is then smoked for euphoria or hallucinations. I'm Scott Beadle. Thank you for watching.